At Man City Fan TV, we're really pleased to promote this wonderful sketchwork, artwork by a lady called Leslie Ross. You can follow Leslie on Twitter at 111Leslie111 and also follow her on Facebook and Twitter at 9320art.
Hi guys, it's Ray here from Man City Fan TV. I'm here with Harry.
Hi.
Hi Harry, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, not bad, bit tired.
Aren't we all? So what we're going to do today, we're going to do a very quick review of yesterday's game because most City fans have told us the same thing. It was a crap game, we won, that's all that matters, let's have a beer. So that's all I was told last night. So we'll do a quick review. We'll talk about Kepa because I think that's the big incident, the most talked about thing from the game. I mean, the media are not talking about City winning or anything else. They're talking about Kepa and Chelsea. So it's a normal thing. City win, let's talk about something else. City lose, let's have a pop at City. And the third thing we want to talk about is one of the reasons why a lot of City fans today are really tired because we didn't get a lot of sleep, because the match is on a Sunday, late afternoon, early evening. And by the time it finishes, if it goes to extra time and penalties, it's really late. So we just want to briefly go on to the authorities basically doing the match going fans a bad do.
Absolutely.
So, Harry, let's get straight into it. Yesterday's game. What do you think of the game itself? I mean, the first 90 minutes.
Yeah, it was a bit of a dull game, wasn't it? I mean, Chelsea had that one big chance with N'Golo Kante where Hazard beat Company and Otamendi, but apart from that, I don't think City really created much apart from a few half chances. Aguero had a few where he took it on the volley and it went over.
Yeah.
We created very little, which I was a bit surprised about, but I think that was a testament to the way Chelsea defended. I think Chelsea defended quite well, no matter how you think about how they did set up, because they did set up very deep and looked to defend and maybe hit us on the counter-attack. But, what would you expect when a team's just been beat 6-0 by the team in the previous 2 weeks? So I think Chelsea did play really well, and it was the sort of game I was expecting from them at the Etihad, a very tense, tight affair. But there's something about City and penalty shootouts in the end.
We're always winning them. We're always winning them. That first 90 minutes, it was like the first half. Chelsea were really, really defensive, ultra defensive. They didn't want to put in a kind of 20 minutes like they did in Manchester, where the game was done and dusted. I mean, that game was done and dusted in about 15 minutes once we were 2-0 up in Manchester, and they didn't want to do that again. And like you said, they were ultra defensive. Second half, they opened up a bit more, and I think we were trying to force it as well at that point. So that gave them more space, more opportunity, more of the ball. And you could see our possession stats were dropping as the game progressed. And to be quite honest, we were a bit worried where we were sitting, and few of us felt, and I certainly did, that the longer the game went on, the stronger and better Chelsea looked, and the more likely they were going to score.
Yeah, I completely agree. In the first half, we dominated the play, but we just didn't create anything, and that was really a surprise to me. And I completely agree. As the game went on, Chelsea grew more into the game. They got more of the ball. They created a lot more chances. Hazard looked very, very dangerous. And, if Chelsea would have won the game yesterday, I think he would have been automatically, the man of the match.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I really thought Chelsea were going to nick it when it went to extra time. The players looked out with their feet.
Yeah.
I think you've got to look at the difference between the two fixtures beforehand. City played Schalke away in the Champions League in a high-intensity game where for 30 minutes you're playing with 10 men with a goal down. Chelsea went out to Malmo, but it was a very easy game for them. They could relax. They played a different 11 and they won 3-0. So City have been a bit more stressed than Chelsea in the last game as well. So it was a bit of a risk to play as strong as he did for me. And, with Laporte and Fernandinho picking up injuries, it might harm us in the long term. We'll have to wait and see about that. But no, I agree. Chelsea definitely grew into the game, but I think we defended quite well. I mean, apart from N'Golo Kante's chance, or I think Ross Barkley had a shot that went over the bar. I didn't see him really creating much more clear-cut opportunities, because I think we defended quite well on the whole. We were sloppy a few times with our passing on the back, but apart from that, I think we performed okay.
Did they actually have a shot on target? I read a stat that someone wrote that they didn't even have a shot on target.
The free kick that Ederson tipped over, maybe, but I don't know. I
thought it looked like it was going over anyway, so I'm not sure. They may have got one on target, possibly. And in Chelsea's slight defence, I mean, they had to play their game on Thursday. We played on Wednesday, so even though they had an easier game, they had the travel and less time to recover and everything else. But let's say it cancels itself out. And you're right. I'm worried about the injuries to two key players. Let's be quite honest about it. We don't know what's going to happen, how long they're going to be out for. There's a rumor that Laporte is not that seriously hurt, but looks like he could be for 2 or 3 weeks. So it is what it is. I mean, they could have been sent off or suspended or had a longer term injury. We have to use the depth of our squad and just carry on. We're not here to mourn about it and whinge about it and use that as an excuse. We've got a deep squad. We've got let's be honest, the best and deepest squad in the Premier League, and we just got to take every challenge head on.
Yeah, well, it's interesting actually to get your opinion on Danilo in defensive midfield. He came on for extra time for Fernandinho when he came off. Is that an option? I mean, I saw someone tweet this morning that he thought he played quite well. I thought he was decent, but is that an option going forward if Fernandinho's injury?
It's not a long-term option. I think it depends on your opponent. Now, Danilo, when he came, I was told he could play fullback or defensive midfielder, and I think he might have played it last season. I don't think it's obviously a long-term option. Otherwise, we'd have used it before. It's going to be who we play, horses for courses. We might end up with Danilo and Gundogan. So use the two of them to do Fernandinho's job. So we lose out somewhere else. But if you look at our next game against West Ham, you'd hope that Danilo would cope there or Ilkay Gundogan, just because of, with all due respect to West Ham, who they are and where they are in the league and everything else, and how good we should be.
Yeah, we've got a few options there, haven't we, though? Because, I mean, we do act really downbeat when we've not got Fernandinho, but Gundogan can play that role. You talked about Danilo. He started to play John Stones there a few times, but I mean, if Laporte is injured and he's going to be out, we're going to need John Stones there to get over his injury and back in centre half. Of course, having Vincent Kompany and getting him about 60 odd minutes yesterday was good as well. So we're going to have him back hopefully for the rest of the season now.
Yeah.
So everyone's going to play the part, and I mean, this is where our big squad comes into play. I'm hoping, and now I think it's a bit of good timing because we've not got a bad run of fixtures now. I don't think. I think the next big game is Schalke in Champions League, but in the Premier League, I think we've got West Ham and Bournemouth. We've got, although they are dangerous teams. I mean, they all could.
Everybody's dangerous.
It's the Premier League at the end of the day, but I'm hoping that we could cope without them for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's be honest. We coped for half the season without KDB. Last season we coped with David Silva missing, every other game. We coped when Fernandinho wasn't there, and we got 100 points. So it's not all doom and gloom. And I think sometimes we just look back and say, oh, we lost against Crystal Palace, we lost against Leicester when Fernandinho wasn't playing, and we use that to feel down and think he's crucial, and without him we're always going to lose, and that's just not the case. So we've got to stay upbeat. Like you said, the games aren't the toughest. They're not.
He got injured in the Carabao Cup final last season, and the next week we beat Arsenal and Chelsea. So
there you go. So and quite handsomely, if I remember correctly, those games. So I'm not too worried yet. Let's see what happens. I mean, there'll be a pep tomorrow, so we'll know more about these injuries. We'll get a little bit more information. Just to finish off, for me anyway, it was nice to see Raheem score the winner.
Oh,
and how did you feel?
Or could you? You couldn't have been to better fifth. I mean, I didn't have him in my five purely because of his penalty against Leicester. I had the 4 that took it by Zinchenko, not as my fifth, but
I had Zinchenko as well.
Took a cracking penalty. I'm sure he would have been one of the next on the list. But the confidence. It's just another chapter in a brilliant career, Raheem Sterling. The confidence, and you know what? If I was Raheem in that situation and I'm panicking, you just place it in a corner and hope he just, because you take a chance putting it high with a penalty, don't you? You really take a chance, and it was you can say it went in off the crossbar, but it was pretty much a perfect penalty.
Exactly.
And it had the exact way to respond to the Chelsea fans, the exact way.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And, I remember Mike Long from the Blue, he was with us for this game. He sat with us at Wembley. And he said, what are you going to do if we win? And I said, it's just, for me at that moment, it was relief, because it had been a poor game, and it was quite tense because, as I said, we felt we were, it looked like Chelsea were getting stronger and stronger, and we were going to lose. And it would just like us to lose on penalties in a nothing way. But yeah, for me, it was like a relief that we'd won, and it was absolutely fantastic. Now, just before the end of extra time, the main incident that's been talked about from this game, and it'll be talked about for ages, I think, is Kepa not going off. Now, the excuse that he had cramp is kind of frankly ridiculous, because let's be honest, I'm 50 years old. I'm sure I could play in nets in the Premier League. I might let a lot of goals in, but I surely as hell won't get cramp.
Yeah, definitely. No, he was. I mean, he's probably the most entertaining thing that happened for the ball. But Kepa in the last couple of weeks has had a hamstring problem, hasn't he? And you can see it really was starting to affect him in that game. I wouldn't be surprised in the next game without any choice that he doesn't play because of the injury. And you can see he was struggling. And you can see that, when you've got, nostalgia-wise, Willy Caballero, who is a penalty-saving expert, he's just what he is. And he's coming on. The manager's made the decision. The ball's gone up. You go off the pitch. You can complain about the decision to him after the game. If you come off and you lose the shootout like that, you can say, look, if I would have stayed in there, I would have stayed in there. The way it turned out, you'll have no idea how Willy Caballero would have done compared to Kepa. Well, then you look at it. Was he quick enough to get down to Aguero's shot, which he really should have saved?
He should have saved that.
All that affects it, and you could see Sarri was fuming. And but at the end of the day, Sarri's job's on the line.
Yeah.
Sarri's job is on the line, and how weak does that make him look that he had to give in to Kepa because he just refused to come off?
Yeah. He was doing his nut. He was absolutely doing his nut, walking down the tunnel, then coming back. And, if it was me, even though I've spent 70 million quid on this player, I wouldn't want him to play for me again, even if it cost me my job. Because that's a massive slap in the face with the wet fish for Sarri.
Yeah, it's just the same. It's the same incident with Tevez in Munich, wasn't it? The other case, Tevez refused to come on for Mancini.
Yeah.
Mancini put his foot down and went, look, Tevez is not playing for us again. And I think until he apologised, and I mean the club forced him back after a bit, but Mancini put his foot down and went, look, he's not playing for me again if he's refusing to follow my instructions. And that's what a proper manager does. And it's been I know it's easy for me to comment on Chelsea as a City fan, but there's been a big player power issue at Chelsea for a number of years, and that's why you see this revolving door of managers.
Yeah. Let's forget about Chelsea now. Let their problems, leave them with them. The last part of our chat today is about the football authorities doing us match-going fans a bad do. And we talked about a couple of things. I'll mention one briefly. The view when the City players lifted the trophy aloft. Thousands of fans couldn't see that because there's a massive inflatable Carabao energy drink advert blocking. It was floating over the pitch. It was blocking our view. And, we felt that was quite ridiculous. And it was only when the players paraded the trophy around the pitch that we actually saw them. So we were a bit miffed by that. The corporate wasn't full. You could obviously see that. The Club Wembley, there's loads of these, many thousands of Club Wembley seats around Tier 2. So many tickets. That's the second point. But the one I want you to talk about, Harry, is Kickoff Times. Because they're a joke, especially for us Northern fans.
Exactly, and we were chatting a bit off camera about it, but it's just a fact of getting back, getting there is fine. We all get there, but it's about wanting how we're going to get there and how you're going to get back. Because yesterday it went to extra time and penalties, so we looked and there was only one train left back to Manchester that you could feasibly get to with all the rush getting out of the stadium and getting on the tube to Euston. So it's feasibly only one train you can get, and then all the City fans have got to pack onto that, and a 3-hour journey back on a packed train is not fun. And there's no need for it. You know, we could just play the game on the Saturday. I don't know what's stopping them. I'd love to hear why they decided to do that. And you know, it could have been worse. You know, we could have had two Northern teams playing, because if two Northern teams, say Liverpool or Manchester United, were playing them, and we're both trying to get back up north, it's going to be a nightmare, both for people driving, for people on the trains, and it's just unfeasible, and it's a very much a domino effect, because if you know that it might go to extra time and penalties, you're going to drive down just so you don't risk missing a train and having to stay in London and pay more money. Means you don't have a drink, which means you don't really want to bring your kids. It's just, you know, and it ruins the match day experience. It really does.
Yeah, because I mean, and with all the roadworks we've got on the roads these days, I mean, you know, driving back. I mean, I drove back last night, and I automatically add at least 1 hour to my trip because of the roadworks. I add another hour because I'm driving at night. I'm on my own, you know, and it's dark and you're tired. So you know, what should be like a 3-hour trip becomes a 5-hour trip.
Yeah.
And I mean, I will say this, you know, if it was, for argument's sake, like you say, if it was Liverpool playing there, all the fans trying to get back, if it was United playing there, down, you know, against City, then okay, on the trains we might have to add a couple of carriages so their fans can get back home, because the rest of them live in London anyway. So, you know, let's not go there. But you're right. I mean, these kickoff times are ridiculous. I don't see why we can't play on a Saturday, you know, and we can make a weekend of it. And okay, it's a bit more expensive if you stay overnight and everything else, but you don't mind as much, because you can, like, I didn't take my kids. Now my kids have got season tickets. They'd like to go to these games. I took them in the past, I think, just because the finals fell on during their holidays when we were living in France. So I didn't mind taking them for the weekend. But I wouldn't take them now if I'm going to roll. And you know, I rolled at home about 3:15 in the morning. There's no way I can take my kids as a responsible parent and give them 4 hours sleep and say, get up, lads, go to school. You know, and if they don't go to school, then you've got to write letters, and people start asking you questions, and you know, with midweek games and everything else, and you just can't take your kids to as many games as you'd like to take them, or they'd want to go. So it is absolutely ridiculous, and it happens throughout the season as well. It's not just for the cup finals.
It's about having that option there, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Having the option to, if you want to make a weekend out of it and stay there, that's your option. But you know, if it's on a Saturday and you need to get home for work or whatever, you just want to get to home, you know, you've got that option there, and you don't have to stress. You can. It's obviously going to be busy getting out of Wembley, as it is with any other stadium, but you get on a train, you sit down, and you're home. You know what I mean? But it definitely is, for me. It's ridiculous how they're allowed to do that. Especially, you know, it's easy because Chelsea fans just go home in 2 minutes on the tube or 2 minute walk home. It's impossible for going. And I think it puts off people. So say someone, a new Manchester City fan has travelled down for the game, and now you know he's stuck on some cramped train back up to Manchester. He's going to be thinking, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
I'm really not doing that again. And it's going to put off fans from attending football matches that aren't in their own city.
Exactly. I mean, and the other thing is, if you're having to get home this late or early in the morning or whatever, and you know, some people have to take time off work, so half a day or a full day. You know, there's no way you really want to be, for argument's sake, driving a forklift truck or operating machinery after about 4 or 5 hours sleep. So it has a knock-on effect, you know, depending on your individual circumstances. So, you know, it would be really great if the football authorities, like you say, told us why we had to play on a Sunday at that time. And if it was at 3 o'clock, if they had a kickoff at 3 o'clock, that wouldn't be so bad, because that extra hour and a half gives people a chance to get trains and get home at a reasonable time. You can probably be home by 10 o'clock, and that's more acceptable. And if you're a bit late, you might be home at 11. Whereas now, you know, you rolled in after midnight. I rolled in at. It is quite ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. It's unbelievable. And I mean, the Community Shield wasn't too bad because it was a 3 o'clock kickoff. And no issues getting home. Of course, it didn't go to extra time, but even if it would have, you know, the game finishes if you go to extra time about 6, 7 o'clock. There's still loads of trains up until 10 o'clock for fans to get home. And if you want to drive home, you know, there's going to be hardly any traffic and stuff, no road work.
I mean, another option could just be do away with the extra time, because yesterday we were begging it to go to penalties and miss out the extra time. Go straight to penalties, get it over and done with.
There's been no extra time throughout the whole competition. It's gone straight into
Yeah.
penalties anyway. So why in the final? I don't get it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Well, there you go, guys. I think that's probably us for today. Thanks for watching our videos at the cup final. I think Andy's explained that when you're around Wembley, there's very, very little internet on your phones or whatever, because at Wembley, the stadium itself, you just can't get a signal. And actually, near the ground, the signals are very weak. They're actually blocked. And I know from my filming last year, outside the ground after the games, apparently someone told me the police are using the frequencies, and basically it's all jammed. You have to walk about 5 or 6 minutes away from Wembley to get a decent signal to be able to send stuff out. So a lot of stuff has come out today, but we apologise. But it's one of those things. It's beyond our control. But it was a fantastic day. We all had a great time. And yeah, we got the trophy, and that's all that really matters at the end of the day. I've got a new item of clothing. Kept me warm yesterday. But guys, if you want to comment, just comment under the video. Give us your guesses as to why we're playing so late on a Sunday, and alternative suggestions as to what could be done. Whether we should play Saturday at 3 o'clock or Sunday at 3 o'clock or whatever. And tell us what you would have done with Kepa. If you're the manager, if you're Maurizio Sarri right now, would Kepa play for you in your next game, whether he's injured or not? That'd be really interesting to see what you guys say about that. But that's the end of today's video. And I'm going to sign off. It's Ray from Man City Fan TV. And Harry's going to sign off too.
Yeah, see you later, guys.
Cheers, mate. And thanks very much. And we'll see you around, Blues.